Well, he wowed the world with his pictures and tweets from space. Now that Chris Hadfield has his feet back on the ground, what's next for the Canadian astronaut? Eric Sorensen caught up with Hadfield, who is sharing his perspective on the world.
He's had what many would consider to be the best job in the world.
And it's been hard to retire.
So it won't be easy to switch to civilian clothes.
This will hang in my closet with a lot of memories that I have.
For decades, we got to know Chris Hadfield in uniform. A fighter jet pilot, a space program trainee, an astronaut. He even looked the part. The Canadian who dreamed of space became the first Canadian to walk in space, where there were not one but two Canadarms to operate, demonstrating his country's technological prowess in space.
Canada has been really gutsy and smart in the space business. We came up with products with Canadian inventions, Canadian designs that were pivotal.
Go for main engine start. 5, 4.
Another distinction for Hadfield, he has worked closely with both the Americans and the Russians in space.
Space Shuttle Atlantis.
He worked for years in the U.S. and flew space shuttle missions twice. He also worked in Star City, Moscow, and his final flight was aboard Soyuz to command the International Space Station. The Russians may not be as flashy, but they get the job done.
The Russians wheel their great big rocket out of the barn, put it vertical, fill it up with fuel, get a crew to climb in on top, close the hatch, and launch it, and it takes people to the space station.
Hadfield's final mission elevated the Canadian to one of the most famous of all astronauts. He saw the possibilities to connect to the world as he circled the world. Not just an astronaut, but as an educator through social media.
But you can see it just forms a ball.
And as a musician.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Teaching and sharing the experience, talking to people about it, letting people see the opportunities that exist.
Hadfield hopes to share with the world what he has seen, as when he flew over a city in Africa.
I didn't even know the name of it. I don't know one person there. And yet you look at it and you go, that looks a lot sort of like Calgary. That is just a bunch of us. That's a bunch of us trying to raise our kids and find a little grace and lead a useful life and find some joy and laughter and love and make this whole thing work.
Eric Sorensen, Global News, Washington.